tiny clip of Cliff Schecter on TV, and that's how you alpha liberal people. Good morning, Cliff. Good morning.
Why, hello. Alpha liberal people is a good thing, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
But there are others, many.
Yeah,
I saw the always talented Representative Eric Swalwell on your show.
That's right.
At some point recently, and he alpha liberals the hell out of people. He did that last week with that great video. So we're getting more, Jasmine Crockett, as you said. I think, as I kept saying, you've said this often too, so maybe I stole it from you, the thing about courage being contagious. More people that...
I can't tell anymore where I end and you begin and Kamala Harris begins, because she also has been saying it, so I feel like she listens every morning. But yes.
She must. I mean, why would she not? Right?
Yes, wait, you write...
Better.
You write in your fantastic piece, right, courage is contagious, so is cowardice. We got to say it over and over again. And you were talking about Dumb and Comer, you called it, how Stansberry and Lynch turned a mega meltdown into a masterclass. I didn't see this, but this was, you were talking about how to handle, noted dumb James Comer. But tell us what happened.
Well, he is a noted dumb bleep. And so, Comer is one of those, he tries to sound like the Kentucky Fried Gentleman. He's like, well, y'all, I'm just a regular guy from around the block. And I just know the little things. And you're just like, well, you shut up and just, and because behind the scenes, he like speaks like he went to like Oxford, And he started trying to attack Democrats and essentially interrupt them because they were pointing out all of Trump's tariffs being a disaster and the stock market and all of the stuff. And these guys want to pretend like, well, you guys just want to spend more money. And they're like, your budget spends more money, liar. And that's all they've got. So he kept trying to, he was breaking protocol. Shocker with Republicans. He's the chairman. When they have their time to speak, he shuts up, but he kept trying to interrupt them. They had to keep reclaiming their time. And Lynch from Massachusetts, Steve Lynch, at one point was just ripping into him and pointing out and just saying, you're out of order on your own committee, and calling him sort of, saying that he was a joke and whatever. And then Melanie Stansberry doesn't get enough credit. She's part of that
she's great
group. She's fantastic. And she started ripping him and she breaks it all down. So she was just like, so you want to cut $4 billion from veterans programs, and you also want to change so let me get this straight. All the good government reforms after the crooked, corrupt Richard Nixon, you want to do away with that. Is that correct? The way she phrases it, perfect. And then he's got nothing.
You're with me. I always say I'm for all of the above on the resistance. And you said, many Democrats seem to have finally and before the cynics say this doesn't matter, blah, 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 all of this matters. When you treat the arguments of those who operate in 100% bad faith as legitimate and actually debate them, you render them legitimate to the viewing audience. When you mock them mercilessly and tear them a new one, you send a very opposite message about who's authentic, will use their power, and won't back down. And so, to our point about courage and cowardice, you said there were more Republicans erect in front of cameras. We protest in huge numbers. Democrats filibuster, go on more tours to speak to audiences across the country about Trump's unique combination of incompetence, cruelty, and corruption, televised shadow cabinet meetings with popular policy proposals, propose legislation on said policy. The more we win. You said at this point, the entire GOP agenda is poison. Their messenger is even worse. We must step into the breach, project confidence, and message every single damn day, take control of the narrative. And you said if we do this, electoral blowouts headed our way this year and next will be epic. Boy, I hope so. I have to hope, some of I'm not sure that polling is off for Democrats when you see the numbers that Bernie and AOC are getting, all the numbers in these town halls where Republicans are too scared to show up. I did see one poll that said if the election were today, Democrats would win by 7. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw that too, the House poll. And we always have to keep in mind that they've so gerrymandered a bunch of states and skewed things that we have to win by, if we come out even with them or win by even by 2 or 3 points, they win. So we do need to win by that amount. But the reason why I said all of that, I'm going to write a longer piece and really lay it out in sort of detail, everything like that you read there. But I think it's really important because I think you hear people on our side sometimes say, oh, well, so they just made a speech. What does that matter? And that really frustrates me and actually pisses me off. Now, if that's instead of action, if that's instead of filibusters, if that's instead of Chris Van Hollen risking, frankly, his life and health to go down to El Salvador, if that's instead of all the other things, you're right. That you can't just be that. It needs to be a multi-pronged strategy. But I'm sorry, like some of the biggest moments in the history of the world, from we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the streets, to I have a dream, have been somebody who's not, is either sometimes not even a politician, taking a huge moment and galvanizing the public through an amazing speech, amazing sort of display. And that is as important to have that.
Well, you picked out another of my favorites. You said you'll want to pay close attention to Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois if you aren't yet. He met this moment. That's what we're looking for. I don't think it has to do with age necessarily. It's who is meeting this moment, this very extraordinary. Yep. And you said, by the way, it's proof that while most billionaires suck, there are a few great ones. JB is one of them.
I made sure to say Pritzker and Cuban, and I forgot to mention Buffett. There's some others. I don't know. You know, I know Mark a little bit. I don't know the other folks, but I mean, so far, like, I mean, what Pritzker is saying, the fact that he was one of the earliest ones in his State of the State to point out how quickly the Nazis consolidated power after they took over, right? He's a billionaire. He could be happy in life and just say, I'm okay. I can escape this country, no problem. But he's not. He's putting it on the line, and I think that's hugely important. People need to remember FDR was wealthy too. Yeah. And the founders were wealthy. I mean, sometimes you can't just say all wealthy people are bad, because there are people that have taken enormous risks, you know, when they could have just been happy with their situation and changed their country. And I think Pritzker is of that ilk. So I'm excited to see him out there. And the only other thing I'll say is, look, I've often said there's a correlation between age. And it's not as much that the folks are old as what it's when the time that they grew up, when Reagan was popular, and they can't seem to forget the old Republican Party for the new one that is unpopular and ridiculous. Yeah. And, you know, I pointed out before, Sheldon Whitehouse, he must be, I assume, in his 70s, and he's fantastic. Yeah. I hope Sherrod Brown runs here again, because I think he can win the seat here without Trump at the top of the ticket and the shape the GOP at the end of this year. And he's 72. So obviously there is a correlation. I want the Maxwell Frosts and Jasmines and AOCs and those types of people. But at the same time, and 40, 50 somethings, which in politics is actually young, is frightening by age. But, you know, your Swalwells, Ted Lieu's, and Gretchen Whitmer's, whoever. But we really do, like, the older folks, if they're doing their part, stay there and keep fighting.
Well, also, I love your jingle says you're profane, and so am I. And really, are there enough F-bombs for this point in our history? We were saying that they do these articles to, like, scare, you know, about, Democrats are being so profane. And who is it? Jesse Waters is like, they're all swearing like drunken sailors hoping people will like them again.
Harris Faulkner is really clutching her pearls.
Oh, my God. So much clutch the pearls when Donald Trump is the most profane president we've ever had. I mean, first of all, who invites him to give a graduation address? He makes it all about himself, and he's like, these tech bros are kissing my ass. I'm like, how inspirational. But anyway,
Donald Trump spent a while speaking about Arnold Palmer's penis. Right?
Thank you.
You can bleep me out on the show because I used a different word for that last time I was on.
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
But I love this.
Paula, go ahead.
Paula said, dear whole Republicans, you've not changed me, as I've been calling you mother for a very long time. My 87-year-old mother calls you suckers and mother every day. My grandmother and grandfather used to swear a lot, but in French, so admittedly it sounded better. Therefore, I come by my swearing honestly. It has nothing to do with being a progressive liberal Democrat. It has everything to do with your being a bunch of stupid, condescending, dishonest, self-serving, cheating, apathetic heads who want to blow up the world only to prove what motherfuckers you are, to own the libs, you and off. You know what? That is a good letter. That's a good letter.
Send that? That's actually art. If you can send that to me, like I look. Here's the thing: cursing, taking a man who has had no due process, ripping him away from his family, and throwing him in the equivalent of a concentration camp, because it is, in El Salvador. You know, that's profane. All right. Yeah. Taking away, firing people on a Friday afternoon, and who have government jobs they've had for years, and sending them an email at like the end of the day on Friday, don't come in on Monday, no severance, no nothing, your health care is gone. That's profane. I'm sorry, I would say the F-bomb or a million things that wouldn't get you guys in trouble. That if you think that is more profane than the things I just mentioned,
I feel like
go F yourself. How about
go F yourself? I feel like maybe this should be a bigger deal. The headline: Trump says, "I don't know," when asked if he's required to uphold the Constitution.
Right.
I mean, of all the headlines,
that's pretty profane.
Yeah, of all the headlines in this crazy Meet the Press interview, he said, "I don't know." I mean, that's where he. Did he do his hand on the Bible? Whatever he did. Yeah. He swore an oath. Right. It's in there, right there. He said, I was elected to get them the hell out of here. The courts are holding me from doing it. I have brilliant lawyers, so they're obviously going to follow what the Supreme Court said. No, they're not. You're not following what the Supreme Court said right now. I mean, right. Trump, just this whole downplaying concerns about a recession, saying everything's okay. I said this transition period, we're going to be doing fantastically. I think we're going to have the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to have the greatest economic boom. And it's just, are less people going to buy less snake oil at some point? He has been saying this forever. Every con man in the history of the world says, I'm going to make you rich, right?
Right. Of course, it's going to be, and they always tell you it's going to be easy, and there's, and no, I'll get you there, and don't worry. Or they'll try to, there may be a little bit of pain, but on the other end, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. And the thing is, this guy has said the same crap now for, the decade he's been, for his entire life, but we've been stuck with him for a decade in politics. And it's, remember how he was going to have one deal per day and he has 0 deals per 100, whatever, 10 days or however many we've done now. Everything is a lie. Everything's crap. But the thing is that people tend to buy it less when it hurts them personally. And that's why we're seeing, and that's why I do believe those polls. Again, I wouldn't believe any one poll on its own.
Right.
When there's a number of them.
There's a number.
And you see all these MAGA folks at town halls rising up and as angry as they are, who've lost their jobs, who've lost their 401ks, who saw all of their workers, shockingly, good voting guys, deported or scared to come into work because they don't want to get deported. So their farms and ranches are going belly up. Well, yeah, those are all folks turning against Trump. The biggest thing out of that poll where he was at 39% was that he had lost 10 points among white folks without a college degree. That's his core base, and they're turning on him big time.
17% of Republicans think he's acting like a dictator. Right.
So what percent think he's just the first half of that word? I would say probably another 15%.
See what he did? He slipped that in.
I saw.
He didn't even tell me I'm
I'm
pretty, and he slipped in.
Yep. No lube.
I'm very tricky.
Yeah. A joke, right? Slipped it right in. All right, 19. We have a clip for the hour.
Yes,
19
we do.
minutes, 19 minutes after the hour. This portion of the